What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This week I'm back for a new video and this time I have Franck and his hard bounce. So in this one you can check here the 3 different tracks that I've used as a reference. You can check out also the description if you want to get the project file. And as usual guys, thank you guys so much for your support and now let's get into it. So I'm gonna first review the kick group, which is composed of a kick bass. So of course, as usual, I got lots of processing on the group, but this is how it sounds. And I'm gonna dive into this. So I have this main kick group, and we have first the kick punch here. So you can feel already a kind of a reverby thing on the top of the kick. But I have lots of group compression, distortion, and all of this stuff. I'm gonna keep it here so that it makes more sense. But basically we start with a main kick here, which is Trance, Vengeance, BD kick. So it's a simple punch like this. I'm gonna cut here that nasty transient that I didn't like, cutting also some boxiness, this boomy thing also that was a bit too much, especially after the distortion compression. I just had like a mid top here, which is just another trancey kick. Here I don't have any sub, and altogether it's distorted and EQ to make it more clear, cutting also some boomy frequencies here, just boosting a bit the high end and making something pretty round. I just had another top kick, which is also in the mids and highs, just boosting back the transient. All of this together, of course, without the processing, it's pretty weak, but you can see that I have lots of distortion, compression. I have this amp that puts back a bit forward the transient. I have some OTT, and I have lots of tonal balance kind of EQs, because at first it was more subby, and then I just push the whole thing, make something that's really punchy. At the same time, I have this bass. I made this one in Serum. It's a basic saw wave with a little envelope on the cutoff of the filter. So I have this bouncy sidechain that I make from the volume of the oscillator one, and you have here at the same time like a filter envelope. It's moving but pretty slowly. So it's really to find the right parameter until you get the right frequency, around 200 or 300, so that it really makes shine this medium frequency, but not too much high end. That's gonna be like this crispy thing we don't want so much. And then it's all about creating the resonancy, especially in the bass. So here I'm just stacking up like 3 different amps, but you can see that I'm going gently with the bass parameter with this one, and then I'm just using it to make shine a bit more the mids, so I don't have any bass here on those amps. And then it's all EQ. So as you can see, I got these harsh frequencies, but that's because of these amps. I don't want it, so I remove it. I'm also just boosting a bit this mid-range, and then it's all about those EQs, so I went a bit crazy here, but it's all until I got something that I like to my ears. So you can see that sometimes you have like those nasty frequencies that can be boosted. We don't want this one. Here it was a bit too much, so I had to cut it. And then it's just going back and forth with the overall kick, because here I made also some EQs on the group, and then I just added another kind of top just to give it a different vibe. it adds also something like in the background. So you get that stereo effects come from the master with stage 1, so that it makes the thing a bit more wide. And then again, it's all EQs to make shine the mids the right way and cut the mud and all of this stuff. So it's really being careful with your ears. You can also use a span, always do this. So what I make sure in terms of bass frequency, I want my sub to be around minus 30 dB here. It's the same as the reference Franck. And then I want something that's pretty balanced in terms of frequency here. If you take only the kick and then the bass, you can see that it's pretty steady in terms of volume between the two, so that the relation is more smooth. It's also finding the right bouncy feeling here, so that it feels well. So it's really important. And yeah, that's pretty much how I did this kick. So I just make sure here my sub is in mono, the rest I want something wide, because in this style you will see that it's pretty minimalistic. So sometimes you just have the kick bass and a lead, so you gotta make sure all of the elements take the space and that it feels powerful and wide only with two elements. So this is the main kick group. I just have like a few automations sometimes, or where I cut the kick punch. And for the bass, you get also this classic kind of variation that you can find in those trance hard bounce track. Basically, the bass is gonna do like this variation. So for this, just stay in the key of your track and you just choose like different notes and try it. Just see what fits better. But you can just go up, down, up, or down, down, up, whatever. It's gonna give that kind of feeling and emotion. It's a way to make some variation easily with a few elements in your track. And just use here as a transition, and that's pretty much it for my kick bass. Next I have a few drums. So as I said, it's pretty minimalistic, so I got only 3 drums. I got like a hat loop. So I took a Vengeance old school sample and then I cut it here just to make that driving rhythm and just to add a bit of a stereo again. So in this one, it's just like this gentle hat that is distorted. EQ, I don't want those mid frequencies here. Adding plate reverb, sub delay, really gently, and then some sidechain like this. And first, it's gonna accompany my kick, and then I'm gonna put like the full. So I made a combination of this loop to make it my own, and here it's a full kind of hi-hat and a clap, and I have this open hat, so it's a pretty long open hat. You can see here that I can use it also as a transition. As you don't have too much elements, it's also nice to make some variation on it or use them as transitions. And you can see here that I really saturate it, just to make it extra crispy. I didn't want this tail to be so long, so I used this compression to make something sharp that really bounces with the kick. You see, it really makes more space and it's more coherent with the kick and bass. My little plate reverb, I use it on all the groups so that it's cohesive between all the channels. And then EQ. So for the EQ, you can feel there's lots of mid frequencies that I don't want, and there's also these harsh frequencies above like 8K that I really want to drag down a bit. So this is for the open hat. So you can see that it's really like some simple 999s. And then I have the clap. So this one is really going just to support the clap loop here. And what I do here is something I do usually is adding like a snare. It It really gives something slappy in the mid-range. So it's way more powerful. And then it's just 909. And I'm just using the combination of those two to make the clap, just a final compression. And this is going to be it for my drums. So next thing are the leads. So I got a few leads here. The main one is going to be like a soul wave kind of lead melody. This is the kind of thing that it is going to use. But I got these little intro things. So I did this first one just using like a synth, but I then used the transpose up. Button. I did like this pattern. So you can see that I have variation coming from velocity movement, also from 26% humanization, so that it feels less robotic, really important. I'm creating also like a swell with a constant plate reverb that I use as a return channel here with the endless smile. I really keep only like the high end to make something cleaner, otherwise it would be a mess. So I can play also this if I want at some parts more mids in the reverb. I can change it also directly here on the return channel. This little pattern is gonna accompany my intro, then I'm gonna put it back, and basically it's just this effect rhythm. Make it way more live with some plate reverb, same as the other channels, and 2 delays with different timings and different wet percentage. I'm also using a phaser and flanger. It's gonna create more movement, but it's still subtle, that way it doesn't squash the thing or it doesn't feel weird or too cheesy. And you will see that I'm actually using this flanger and phaser on all of those leads, and it's gonna create something again more moving, more lively, and it's gonna take more space in the track. So I'm just gonna cover this one also, the whistle. So here, little variation in velocity, but less obvious. Little humanization also. Then it's just this whistled verb. It's a sample from Ableton, and I think it's something Franck uses and also some other trance artists. So yeah, I don't know where this comes from, those using those whistles for trance music, but actually they're doing it a lot. So I just make it more strong, put it just a bit more forward with the OTT, creating again the same vibe with a slight reverb and some delay to make it more lively. And that's gonna be pretty much it. And now I have my lead melody. So this one is made out of a lead kind of patch, and it's a synth pluck. I think I use a factory lead here. It's this one. So basically you can use any saw kind of pluck, and then I just tweak the filter, playing with the envelope to make something more sharp. And you can play here with the cutoff to make it more open. So this one is just straight out of the box patch. Any saw kind of pluck is going to be working for this thing. And then I got some movement on it. So of course here some automation movement in the breakdown. I'm also playing here with the utility so that it's not the same level volume depending if it's playing the octave above or the octave below, because this one is going to feel more powerful at the drop, so I need to also push a little bit the sound. Then I'm using also the OTT for all of my leads, creating also here some automation with the bass sound, so that it opens up in the breakdown. And here really important, that cut, that really cleans it up. It's subtle, but it really makes the difference. It's really just some mud, and you don't want these kind of frequencies. Then slight reverb, my delay for the movement, and same thing like the phaser and the flanger. Just adding also a soothe too, because I have harsh, nasty frequencies here. So it's always good to put in. So it's another kind of supporting patch. It's the same one, but I'm just taking the octave below with the same pattern, and it's just going to support a bit that lead to give it a bit more strength. So it's just layering basically. So it's just adding bit of those frequencies and also some movement with a few delays in the background, and that's gonna be it for my lead. I just have also another supporting lead here, but it's the same idea, so it's just layering here for my breakdown. I'm using the same patch, and here I'm just using it in my intro, an octave also below. So you can see that with one patch, one element, you can create 3 different layers, playing with 3 different octaves, playing with the automation and layer it to get something more strong. So even if it's something minimalistic, you can cover the whole part of a track. And that's gonna be it for my leads. Next, I have my vocals. So here I have this vocal sample. Chopped up sample. So one interesting thing here is that I'm creating also a swell, like a sweep kind of reverb. So boosting the reverb at the end, so without it, it's way more dry. And you can see that I boost after each kind of chopped up samples. I can do it in between and then just push it back. And that way, you can, with the return channel, you can get something really clean with a dry signal always there, just the sweep kind of reverb underneath. And I'm doing it all along the track with those samples. And yeah, in terms of processing on this vocal, I like to use this Sound Toys vocal sweet sauce that I like a lot. There's a little bit of delay, a little bit of distortion, also, yeah, echo distortion, basically, and a few EQs, but here I put it off. Then EQing. Too much lows, I don't want it. I already have my bass, and I want something clean. Too much high end. Really crispy, I don't want it too much. OTT, because it's a lead, it makes everything stronger. Then really making sure with those EQs, you see you got lots of nasty distortion, but always the same kind of frequencies, so above 10K, 4K, 2K, 6K, sometimes 6, 7K, and then just here for the tonal balance again. I have a sus2 again, and I have this sidechain, and finally just my phaser and flanger, same thing that I put on all my leads on this track. I'm also creating like a vocal sweep that's going to be useful for my transition, so same idea. You can use the main elements to make your transition directly, either with a return channel or here I made a sweep. So what I do is I just took this part of the vocal, I just put a reverb 100%, then I just go and bounce track, and I get this thing which is going to create my vocal sweep. Then I can use it as a riser like this or as a full sweep. And it's gonna be useful for my breakdown to also announce my other parts, like every 8 bar or any kind of transition, basically. And then I just have like a few effects, like a noise sweep here from Ableton, just making sure I don't have too much of those mids. A crash. You can find these often in the tracks. A Franck is making like this double crashes type of stuff in his breakdown. And finally, just a break loop here with, again, the return channel for the reverb. So here with the delay, and just a snare build up here in my intro. And that's pretty much it for this track. So as you can see, not too much element, because the central part, it's really like the melody, sometimes the vocals in this track, and then just a kick bass that's really refined with a few drums and always 909 stuff. So I guess that's it for this track, guys. Hope you like it. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I see you in the next one. Ciao, guys.